Do you think is it possible to visit a very beautiful place like New Zealand in a very short time, say about a week? Hi, welcome to Danny on the Go. I'm Danny. First of all, I will plan to see places that I love during my visit, as I wouldn't want to waste my time on places that I have no interest in. New Zealand is not a small country and have lots of nature which I love, especially in the South Island. So I will target my visit in South Island this time. Please stay until the end of the video as I will have important tips for those who intend to visit the South Island of New Zealand. I'm traveling with my parents and I will fly all the way from Kuala Lumpur to Auckland, New Zealand. Flying from Kuala Lumpur all the way to Auckland, I'm taking a business class, and in this case, I'm able to access to the Malaysian Airlines Golden Lounge in the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Here, I can rest assured to have my stomach filled up as there are lots of delicious food to eat. From buffet to a la carte, you can choose your favorite food to eat. There are lots of seatings around too as the lounge is pretty big. I do not need to wander around in the airport. When it's boarding time, I just need to head to the boarding gate and priority boarding is given to business class ticket holder like me. Very convenient. The flight from Kuala Lumpur to Auckland, New Zealand took around 10 hours. Upon reaching to the Auckland International Airport, I have to go through the strict custom where there is no special lane for business class ticket holder. Finally, I am out at this busiest airport in New Zealand. Straight away, I head to the domestic flight airport at the side of this international airport to board another flight to the South Island as I'm now in North Island. The flight took around 1.5 hours and finally I've touched down to the Christchurch International Airport. It's night time and I need some sleep before I can continue my journey. This is the hotel near the airport I have stayed overnight. In the morning of the second day of my journey, the very first thing I need to do is to get my rental car. The best way to travel in New Zealand is renting a car as the traffic is less and having our own car can access to many places where public transport won't be able to reach. The car rental company do provide the service for transporting me to the pickup point of the car. Upon picking up the car, I started to drive and my journey of the New Zealand South Island begins. As I prefer more to nature, I skip Christchurch and head to the south. After about an hour drive, the first stop is Ashburton, the second largest city in South Island, New Zealand. As New Zealand is prone to earthquake, most shops here are not high as you see here. I will stroll around here for a while. Then I continue and make another stop after around half an hour drive at Geraldine for a toilet stop. This small town is quiet and do have some little attractions which is free to visit like the town museum and this church here. It's very comfortable to stroll around as there are cafes and shops in the town center. About 40 minutes drive away from Geraldine, I reach another small town for lunch in Fairlie. This is Fairlie Bakehouse, a very famous pie shop in town. Here one can choose many kinds of pies and I have ordered a salmon pie here for my lunch. After the scrumptious lunch, I make my way to the nearby farm called the Paca Shack. Here, I can get close to some of the most adorable animals in New Zealand like sheep and alpaca. There's a schedule for entering the farm and I've booked my time at 2 p.m. It's still not the time yet and there's a souvenir shop at the entrance of the farm. Here one can buy or see some of the goods that made by the alpaca and sheep wools. It's so soft. This tour is guided by the farm owner where she will explain how the sheep and alpaca fleece are trimmed. With food in our hand, these cute and tame animals will come towards us and let us feed them. The alpaca is original from South America and is shy. Their fleece comes with various colors from beige, brown to black. According to the guide, the fleece will be able to trim only after it reaches about 3 cm. Besides having their fleece, this farm also sells alpaca, and the price can range from 800 till 5,000 New Zealand dollars, depends on the breed. After some time at the farm, I start to move on to Lake Tekapo to get some groceries as we are going to cook for our dinner tonight. The drive is about 35 minutes and there is a supermarket called Foursquare at the town center where one can get all the necessity here. It started to rain and the only thing we can do now is to head to our accommodation for tonight. We will come back tomorrow to look at this lake if the weather is good. Before reaching our accommodation, we passed by another lake and the rain stopped. So we stopped by and take a look at this beautiful blue lake called Lake Pukaki. The color is so blue is because of the glacial flood in the water which caused by the glacial erosions. If the weather is good, one can even see the snow alpine behind this lake. Just for your information, alpine weather is very unpredictable. From Lake Pukaki, I drive about 20 minutes and reach to this town called Twizel, where I'm going to spend a night here in this uniquely built chalet accommodation. It is a triangle-shaped chalet and inside there are 2 stories, comes with 2 bedrooms and a living room. It has a kitchen where we are going to make our dinner tonight. Today, I've drove a long way from Christchurch to the center of South Island here and visited a few places like Ashburton, Fairlie Bakehouse, the Paca Shack, and Lake Pukaki. Time to rest and gain some energy to move on tomorrow. Arise, shine! It's the 3rd day of my journey and I'm leaving this beautiful chalet. I will be driving into the Mount Cook National Park, passing by the Lake Tekapo which I was yesterday. It is a very scenic drive along the way, but the weather starts to change as we get nearer to the alpine area. It is windy and raining hills. I try to wait for a while at the parking bay to hope the weather can change and I can start doing the hike to the nearest trail to view the glacier that flows from the highest peak in New Zealand, Mount Cook. Unfortunately, things doesn't work as planned. Very disappointed. After waiting a while at a small hut near the parking area, I decided to leave. This is a place where one must visit when in Mount Cook National Park, but too bad, it has to be forced to admit from my list now. I'm heading back to Lake Tekapo, which is the entrance to this national park. As mentioned, alpine weather is very unpredictable. Once I'm at the Lake Tekapo, the sun is out. Hooray! I have to grab this opportunity to get photos before the clouds come again. Lake Tekapo is famous of its incredible blue water, which is also caused by the glacier flood eroded from the alpine behind the lake. It's a small town where there are more tourists than locals here. There is a small church called the Church of Good Shepherd, where one have to take photos and it has become a landmark in this area. This charming stone church was built in 1935 and is still operating but only allowed to visit inside with permission. It's mostly used for locals as a place to worship and wedding now. There is a bronze sheepdog statue on the edge of Lake Tekapo which was built in 1968 that serves as a tribute to the dogs used by Scottish shepherds during the 19th century. Next, I head southward and one should not miss tasting the alpine salmon before leaving this place. There's this place called High Country Salmon in the town of Twizel where salmons are grown in the glacier water that flows in from the alpine. Inside there's a shop selling the salmons that can be bought fresh and even be eaten raw as sashimi. Me and my parents will be having our lunch here. After that, I head back to the highway and moved southwards. It's a beautiful drive where I can see snow-capped mountains at the far end. I make a brief stop after about 30 minutes to stretch my leg at the small town of Omarama. Omarama is a small town located just beside the main highway where one should not miss as it is very famous of its Marymore sheep wools product. There are shops along the small town center that sells all kinds of Marymore sheep wools here. Then I continue my journey and passing by the mountainous area called Lindis Pass. This part of the highway is claimed to be the most beautiful highway in New Zealand. I made a brief stop at the side of the highway where there is a viewpoint here. It is covered by yellowish grass all over the hills around, and when one looks at it, it looks like a huge carpet blanket on the surface of the earth. It's a little dusty here as the wind is so strong. Next, I'm heading to the famous touristy town, Queenstown, where I'm going to spend a night there. It's a long drive where it took me about 2 hours, and before reaching the town, I make a brief visit to this landmark called Kawarau Bungy Center. This is the first place where bungee jump is founded in the world. It's closed when I reach here. This is the bridge where one will jump down to the Kawarau River below with the rope tied on the leg. That is not my type of game. The sun begins to set and I'm at Queenstown to check into these B&B accommodations. It's a spacious place to stay and is facing the Lake Wakatipu, a very beautiful lake in Queenstown. Here I will wait for the time for dinner where I will be walking out to the town area to look for food. I ended up in this Vietnamese restaurant where it serves hot and delicious food. After the dinner, I stroll around at the lakeside of Wakatipu where it's so beautiful watching the sunset after the long day of driving. Today, I visited Mount Cook, although couldn't manage to do the hiking, Lake Tekapo, High Country Salmon for lunch, Omarama, Lindis Pass, and Kawarau Bungy Center. It's the 4th day of my trip in the South Island of New Zealand, and this morning I woke up very early in the morning to go for a mission. I am going to do a skydiving and will need to assemble at the town centre office. After a short brief, the tour company transported me to the drop zone for the skydive where it takes about 20 minutes drive. Skydiving is a very famous activity where one must try at least once in a lifetime if you have the guts to do it. However, it's a very weather dependent. If the weather is not good, one can ask for refund or postpone the trip. In the drop zone office, I will have to sign in and will be assigned to a group of 6 to 7 people, as the plane that takes us up to the sky is a small plane. You can see here is the waiting area to board the plane. Staff are all prepared for tandem flight where will be an instructor flying behind me. If everything goes well, the staff will help me gear up, and here I go.
Hi, welcome to Nzone. How are you today?
I'm great, but it's been waiting for a few hours.
Okay, well hopefully this will all be worth the wait. First time skydiving?
Yes, I'm first time skydiving.
Where are you from?
I'm from Malaysia.
Are you having a good time here in New Zealand?
Yeah, definitely. It's
Awesome.
a good time.
Alright, well we're going to go see Queenstown from high up in the sky. What a beautiful day. You ready to go?
Yeah.
High five, brother.
Thank you.
I'll be flying all the way up to 15,000 feet in the sky and dive down. During the flight, all passengers are seated on the floor of the plane, and even the scenery outside is so magnificent, I started to feel panic and excited at the same time. One by one, we'll move towards the door when the plane reaches 15,000 feet. Here I go. Everything just loosened up as I dive down with my instructor behind me. There's no direction and the world goes upside down. Within seconds, I gain my balance, and the freefall lasts about 1 minute. During this 1 minute, I can feel myself like a bird, with my hands like wings soaring in the sky. Snow-capped mountains, white clouds, lakes, and the ground are all under me. The instructor helped me to capture this best moment as I was screaming out of my throat with true excitement. When it reaches a certain height, the parachute shoots up and my body is pulled back and everything just calmed down as I started to glide my way down slowly. My face is frozen and I just can feel I am so tiny above this huge beautiful land. I can see the town is so small under my feet, and the instructor even taught me how to control the parachute from different directions. About 4 to 5 minutes of gliding in the air, I finally landed on the ground safely. After this accelerating activity, with another 20 minutes drive from the drop zone, I am back to Queenstown. I need to make myself as a human where I need to walk on the ground again. I spent my afternoon to stroll around this beautiful town. Queenstown is a very beautiful place where it's facing the Lake Wakatipu with the Southern Alps at the back. It attracted many tourists from all over the world to visit annually. One can choose from thrilling activities like skydiving, which I just experienced, to bungee jump or jet boating, to a more laid-back moment where one can just choose to relax at a cafe along the side of the lake. There are rows of shops of cafes, souvenir shops, and dining places in the town center where one can walk around. At times, there are even street performances at the side of the lake. Time for lunch. This afternoon, one should not miss to have the well-known burger in town. This burger restaurant is recommended by locals where one must try as it's using local beef as the patty. Moreover, the portion is huge. Look at the crowd that queuing in front of the shop. This is Fergburger shop. Me and my parents bought each for one and head to the shore of the Lake Wakatipu to enjoy this local delicacy. Look at the size of the burger. It's almost the size of my face. Inside there are vegetables, bacon, beef patty, cheese, and comes with special sauce in it. It's so huge that my mouth cannot even bite on it. Very delicious. With the beautiful lake scenery in front of me, this lunch may not be expensive, but definitely it's a very good experience and the feeling is so nice and it is breezy as the weather is so good here. No wonder so many tourists love to come to Queenstown as this place is so relaxing. I can sit here all day, but after lunch, me and my parents decide to go for a stroll at the side of the lake before depart to Te Anau, which takes about 2 hours drive to the south. Te Anau is a small town located at the side of Lake Te Anau and is the gateway to Milford Sound. I'm spending a night in this accommodation where they offer place to sleep and cook. Today, I've spent most of my time in Queenstown with activities like skydiving and also stroll around the town centre. Time to rest for the night and prepare for another exciting journey tomorrow. It's day 5 of my trip in the South Island of New Zealand, and in this morning I woke up very early and depart for Milford Sound as the journey from Te Anau needs about 2 hours drive. I have to reach to the jetty at least half an hour to check in before the cruise depart. I'm now at Fiordland of the southwest part of New Zealand's South Island and is famous of its rainforest. Passing by here is the Homer Tunnel, which opened in 1953 and that is 1.2 kilometers long under the Southern Alps. It's a one-way tunnel where one needs to wait around 20 minutes for one side to move on. This tunnel is frequently under maintenance because of this part of the road is prone to landslide caused by the melting of snow on the mountain. One have to check on the highway website to get the updated information of the tunnel before using it. The road is winding and narrow here and the surrounding is very beautiful where I will make a stop on the way back after the cruise. Upon reaching the car park area at the Milford Sound, I have to walk around 10 minutes to the jetty passing by these rainforests on the specific pedestrian deck. This is the national park, so all nature here are well preserved. If you are on a tour, bus parking will be just in front of the jetty entrance. Inside the jetty, there are many cruise companies offer cruises on the Milford Sound here. One need to reserve as it can be fully booked most of the time. And I got my ticket here and will wait to board the cruise. Other cruises are lined up outside as you can see here. Milford Sound is located at the wetland of Fiordland National Park. It has more than 200 days of raining in a year, and because of that, there are many waterfalls formed in this area. It's also known as Waterfall Heaven here. I'm very lucky as today is a good day without rain. And this is the cruise I'm about to board. Here I can see many tourists are waiting to board when the time is near. After boarding into the cruise, the very first thing is to grab my breakfast, where the cruise do offer a package that include breakfast during my visit. After the breakfast, I headed out of the cruise cabin to admire at the scenery along this fjord. Big and small waterfalls are everywhere. Milford Sound is formed since the Ice Age when the ice melted and the land rises due to the tectonic plate movement, which forms this uniquely landscape as we see here. This place receives rains most of the days and becomes a catchment for water on top of the mountains and causes waterfalls to form all over this place. Some waterfalls are also formed due to the melting of ice after the winter. These waterfalls are what they call temporary waterfall. After some time, our cruise begins to move towards a huge waterfalls and let every passengers on the cruise to experience the splashing of icy waters that flow all the way down from the melted snow on the mountain. It's truly refreshing, especially in the early morning like now. Cruising along Milford Sound not only allows visitors to admire on this incredible landscape and waterfalls all over the area. If one is lucky enough, you may be able to see some of the local wildlife too. Here, I'm able to see the Fiordland crested penguins on the shore. This penguin has a bright orange beak and blonde feathers on each side of his eyes. It's a little far, so I have to zoom in my camera. Amazingly, they are not afraid of the freezing water even it splashes on them. They are really cute. Another wildlife I'm able to see here is the fur seals, which are often seen basking in the sun on the rock. At times, one may be able to see dolphins too, but not this time of my visit. After watching all these wildlife, the cruise begins to make a turn back to the jetty to end the cruise trip. The trip took about 2 hours, and upon disembark from the cruise, I slowly walked back to the parking area to make my way back to Queenstown. On the way back, I will be making a few stops along the way like the Homer Tower viewpoint. As I mentioned, it has a very beautiful surrounding. Here I'm surrounded by these rock mountains with snow on top, and there are streams of waterfalls flowing down here and there. This place is so picturesque. After 15 minutes drive from the jetty, I reached this place called the Chasm. It's a short walk around 20 minutes return where I will pass through a native bush, and at the end there is a waterfalls where water flowing over and through the water sculpted rock formation. Then I continue to move on, but have to make a stop not far. I think about 10 minutes drive because the scenery is so beautiful. I have to go down and take a 360-degree video to let you see these mountains. I'm speechless here. Driving through the Homer Tunnel, I have to make another stop at the side of the road at the Gertrude Valley. Here I'm greeted by the local breed parrot called KLIA. KLIA is an alpine parrot that only can be found in the Alps area. They are very intelligent and tourists are forbidden to feed them, although many ignore this rule. That causes them to chase tourists for food at times. This valley has a very clear and cold water streaming down all the way from the melted snow on the mountain. It's very refreshing. Another stop not far from the valley is Bungy Creek. It is a glacier-fed spring with water that is so pure where one can drink it straight away. Tourists can bring empty bottles to fill up the water and drink too. About half an hour drive from this place, I reach another small attraction called Mirror Lake. It's a wetland with a small lake where the water is so clear and tranquil. One can reflect the image on it directly like a mirror. Thus, the name of the Mirror Lake comes from. Last and not least, the stop I make before moving back to Queenstown is the Eglinton Valley, which is just 5 minutes drive from the Mirror Lake. It's a flatland grown with grass, where it was actually used to be a place where the glacier flowed on it in 1,000 years ago. This flatland was carved by the erosion of the glacier, and when the glacier melted, it became a flatland as we see here. From far, one can see a U shape, which is a proof of where the glacier used to be. It is also a proof of how powerful nature can be. After this, I drive all the way straight back to Queenstown to stay a night there. Back to Queenstown, everything becomes so comfortable and it's time for dinner. I will walk all the way to the town center from the place I stay to enjoy a very delicious dinner in a Chinese restaurant. The walk takes about 10 minutes and I'm now at this Chinese restaurant here to have my dinner. As this is the last night I will be at the South Island, New Zealand, me and my parents will order more food to eat. We have ordered crab meat corn soup, stir-fried scallop with broccoli, lemonade chicken, seasonal vegetables, and Peking roasted duck. After the dinner, I stroll around at the Queenstown Centre, where at night there are some street performances here too. It's almost 9 PM and the sky is still quite bright because it's the beginning of summer now. Temperature is just nice, which is about 20 degrees Celsius, and here I've bought an ice cream from the shop behind as a dessert. Today I have visited the Milford Sound, Homer Tunnel, the Chasm, Gertrude Valley, Bungy Creek, and Eglinton Valley. It's time to rest after a long day drive. It's my last day of my trip in South Island, New Zealand. This morning is a little free in Queenstown as I will be heading all the way up to the Bob's Peak, a mountain behind the town to get the beautiful view of Queenstown. Before that, I make a way to visit this church. Every town in New Zealand has a church. This is the first church in Queenstown, and as stated here, it was built in 1932. The stone structure with the medieval design really makes this building so unique, standing at the side of the town. I slowly make my way to the feet of the mountain where I will be taking a gondola ride to the Bob's Peak. This is Skyline Gondola, which is very famous where it's must visit when one is in Queenstown. There are various packages one can purchase from gondola ride to combo packages with lunch or dinner. You can check on their website to make the reservation. Besides taking the gondola ride, if you have the energy, you can hike all the way up too, and it's free in this way. This is the steepest gondola ride in New Zealand and will only take 5 minutes to reach to the top of the mountain. Once reaching on the top of Bob's Peak, we can see the whole panorama view of Queenstown with Lake Wakatipu and the remarkable mountain behind the lake. There is an observation deck on top of the gondola station where one can view the whole 180 degrees of the town. On top of this mountain, besides getting this beautiful view of Queenstown, visitors also can participate in many activities available here, like the Skyline Luge, paragliding on top of Queenstown, and they even have bungee jumping here. If it's raining here, one can move to the indoor inside the station to view the town. The ticket I bought is a combo ticket, which include a buffet lunch at the famous Stratosfare restaurant. This restaurant is always packed with visitors and one must make reservation to enter this place. You can see the crowd here waiting to enter for lunch. The restaurant is surrounded by glass where one can enjoy the view while having their meals. Most of the visitors will want to sit beside the window, and because of that, window sittings are more expensive and very limited. I'm lucky enough to be able to reserve a table just beside the window. The buffet offers variety of food from Western to Asian food, from cold dishes to hot food, and from exotic fruits to tantalizing desserts. There will be one that suits the taste of all visitors here. Typically, most visitors will spend their last day of the trip like me to have their so-called farewell lunch or dinner here. From here, I will enjoy my meals while we wait for the time to head to the Queenstown airport to board a plane back to Auckland. Here comes the tips. If you are having a connecting flight from either Queenstown or Christchurch in the South Island of New Zealand to any of the destinations before heading back to your home, it's advisable to have your connecting flight booked a day later as the weather of Christchurch and Queenstown can be very unpredictable. At times, they may have flight delay or even cancel. To avoid missing the connecting flight, it's better to have more time, say a day or so, and in my case, I booked a day later to fly back to Kuala Lumpur from Auckland. I'm lucky enough where my flight is on schedule, and because of that, I have an extra day in Auckland itself. I will have another video showing how I spend a day to visit Auckland. Please do subscribe my channel so you won't miss any of the video including the coming Auckland one-day tour. Thank you for doing so as it means a lot to me. Till then, hope to see you again and bye.